Hello, and welcome back to the alignment assignment, where we take a look at each of the D&D alignments. This week, I wear the gray shirt of True Neutral, plus 15 to my inscrutability. Now, if you're True Neutral, you know that you need to look at things from all angles, and your character's actions determine their alignment. Their alignment should never dictate your actions. A character's alignment is a guide. It's not a straitjacket to bind them. Now, True Neutral. What exactly does this mean? They're neutral in both the law and chaos meter, as well as being neutral in both the good and evil meter. What does this mean? Well, in regards to law and chaos, they're equally at home being spontaneous and wild as they are at being disciplined and methodical. Whichever way gets their goals achieved doesn't matter to them. But what exactly are the goals of someone who is neutral on both good and evil? They're not beholden to the morality and the idealism of good, nor are they as selfish and destructive as evil. What does this mean? Well, True Neutral has more of a live and let live policy than most other alignments. Now, instead of asking what part of a character's alignment they value more, because both are neutral, instead I will address what sort of character is True Neutral. Typically there's two ways, and the first way I will explain, it gets but a moment of my time, because the first way is through apathy. And imagine the medieval peasant, one who just says, "Yes, my lord, more work," and goes about their work in the fields as if they were a resource gatherer in a video game. Now they're forced into this apathy by their lord, because if they act in any sort of manner, they'll have their head chopped off. But this peasant is a character who wakes up in the morning and goes, "Oh, time to plough my fields," and then they come home and go, "Oh, time to plough me wife." And they have no goals, and they have nothing beyond working in the fields. Now, granted, this is some forced true neutrality, but a character, if you have an apathetic character, it's the best way to be the worst character at the table. A player character needs fire in their belly, and they need goals to pursue and hopefully achieve. And an apathetic character who is, in a sense, neutral about everything, that just doesn't work. But the second True Neutral character does. This is a character who genuinely values balance in all things. It is a character who knows that through balance, that's the only way to keep the world turning. It's someone who perhaps sees value in all philosophies. Someone who can understand why someone would worship Lathander, the healer, as well as someone who can understand why you would worship Talos, the chaotic evil god of storms. They can see value in all these things. Now this is a character, let's say a druid, and she will help the humans of a nearby village, help them live and farm. But she will also help kobolds who live nearby. And the humans and the kobolds will be in constant conflict with each other. But through this conflict, a sort of harmony is achieved, because if either the humans or the kobolds win and take over this entire valley, now their resources are tapped. They need to expand. They need to go out and wage war, as is their wont and custom. It is the True Neutral druid who seeks to avoid this at all costs. Now, what moral quandaries can a True Neutral character face? Well, this can take place for someone who values neutrality so highly, this will take the place of having to choose a side. The conflicts of law and chaos and good and evil, these are constantly happening in any campaign world, and eventually a side will have to be chosen. Eventually conflict will come to them. Imagine the Hobgoblin Empire has just taken over the nation of Palandia. Now they're moving through Belgarium, and they've just invaded the nation of Prance. What happens now? What happens to a True Neutral character? Will they stand against this implacable foe? How can they mediate this event? This Hobgoblin Empire, perhaps they cannot. Perhaps it's such an inexorable force that it cannot be stopped. Conflict will seek out the true neutral character, whether they want it to or not. So, who is true neutral? Unlike the other videos, I'm not going to look at popular culture and try and find examples of this alignment. Instead, I'll talk about three forces that are true neutral, and they may find their way into your campaign world. Now, the first group is definitely going to find its way into your campaign world, because that first group is the most populous and most obvious group of true neutral characters, and that is animals. Yes, animals just running on instinct are true neutral. They don't care about law or chaos. They don't care about good or evil. An herbivore is not good. A cow is not good because it doesn't go around harming anything except grass. And carnivores are not evil because they go around biting things. Animals simply are. They simply act. Now, a dog simply lives his life going around chasing legs and humping cars, as they do. It's all very zen. And your character is probably not a dog, however, going around and peeing on pointy-hatted gnomes. No, but your character can still espouse the balance of nature if your character is a druid. Many druids are true neutral because they value the balance of nature. Anything that you find in the natural world, the healing, life-giving springs, as well as the dangerous and destructive storms and wildfires. All of these are at home in a druid's heart. Now, this makes them just as dangerous as nature, but also just as pleasant. Now, a druid one year might be aiding a human village because there's been an overpopulation of boars and their population has exploded, and they're aiding the humans in hunting these boars because that the boar's explosion in population, that's a disruption of nature. And so the druid will help the humans bring them back under control. Now, the next year, the druid might do nothing when a green dragon descends into the valley and lays waste to the human village. Because you see, a green dragon has a much smaller carbon footprint, a much smaller impact on the environment than the humans do. And you can be sure that that green dragon, you can be sure that she is going to keep the boars in line as well. And so this is something that is acceptable to a true neutral druid. Now, a third group is going to record this tragic event of the village being destroyed, and that third group is sages and scholars. The characters who build a library and fill it with books and scrolls, and they seek only to record knowledge, only to record learning from any source and of any shape and any type. There can be books of exalted deeds in this library penned by the angels themselves. There might be a book of the most offensive Yo Mama jokes that Dispater ever wrote with his evil quill pen in the 9 hells. All of these can be found in the greatest libraries held by the true neutral sages, because the sages know that knowledge, just like any tool, is inherently neutral, and it only matters what you yourself do with it. Now, true neutral societies. Again, I will invoke the rule of 3, and I'll speak about 3 different societies. The first is a society that is true neutral because it is a glorious melting pot. Every race, religion, culture, and creed, every alignment, every philosophical faction is represented in this society. People come together and they exchange their ideas, their cultures, their philosophies, they exchange their ways. They also exchange fist to the mouth, because this is what happens when a group of people meet other people that are different than them. But in a society like Sigil, one that is, this is an extraplanar city at the center of the multi-universe. This is one such society that is true neutral because everything and everyone is represented. There are elves, dwarves, angels, demons, hobbits, and ogres. And they're all living together, and they're exchanging their philosophies, their ideas of their factions. They're exchanging goods and services. And they're kept in order by the immensely powerful and the immensely mysterious Lady of Pain, a powerful, true neutral entity that keeps this society in balance. Because whenever something shifts, whenever something becomes too powerful, whenever something becomes too disruptive, she uses her gaze to reduce that offender into pulpy applesauce. Such is her power, and such is her way to maintain true neutrality in a society that represents every single alignment and every single culture. Now, the second society is one that is genuinely attempting to be true neutral, one that is genuinely attempting ultimate balance. Now, they're trying to give equal representation to everyone and everything in this society. They're trying to give credence to every sort of philosophy. The problem is when the society is large, it will be paralyzed by inaction, as every competing philosophy grinds together and then grinds the society to a halt. It doesn't work in large groups, but it does work in small groups. A small group like a Druid Grove or a hippie commune, although these two things are not mutually exclusive. When the group is small enough, then everyone can individually work together, and everyone can share their different views and philosophies, and they don't have to trample upon the ideas of another. They can work together, and they can work in harmony when there's few enough people, and they don't just get into conflict and smash each other in the mouth at all times. Now, this third society is my favorite. It is also the smallest of societies, and it is the true neutral secret society. Now, this secret society is often one of immense power. You see, true neutral is a very difficult alignment for the hot-blooded and short-lived races to hold. Races like humans and orcs and halflings and hobgoblins. All these races have fire in their hearts and lava in their loins, and it's very difficult for them to maintain true neutrality and true balance. But the long-lived races, those of the elves, the dwarves, or even those of the immortals, like genies and things like that, they are able to have a immense big picture view. They are able to look at the entire world throughout the ages, throughout centuries, and decide what is best for the world. Imagine this, a mage cabal of gray elves who are secretly manipulating the entire world. They have their hands in everything. But they're not doing this for their own gain. They're not doing this for their own power. They are doing this to ensure that the world does not crack itself apart in the conflicts of heroes and villains, the conflicts of dragons and devils, and the conflicts of paladins and priests alike. They are maintaining the balance of the world. They are maintaining the integrity of the world by secretly manipulating it into balance. A psionic society who is looking over the world, connecting their minds to the zeitgeist of the world, connecting their minds to other minds, and in this web, they also try and maintain neutrality. This is another society that is like this Grey Elven Mage Cabal. Now, imagine this, a world that is secretly in the palm of a tiny council, a council comprised of both angels and devils alike. Now, every plague that the devils unleash upon the world is balanced by an equally powerful miracle that the angels bring upon the world. And these two forces are trying to gain more souls from one side. The devils, they tempt and they sow fear in order to bring people to evil so that they can gain their souls. The angels inspire, they uplift, and they heal. They inspire people to good, and in this way, they win good souls and they take those to the heavens. In this eternal conflict, where millions upon millions live and love and suffer and die under the machinations of this secret council, in this, there's a sort of strange and grim balance. And it is balance that is truly neutral.